Yeah, sure. From All Things Dentistry, the place where we're passionate about sharing those unwritten hints and tips of dentistry. Well, I wanted to get out this, we're doing the Calcified series and I wanted to start cutting some videos. So, the reason why I'm wearing a hat is because my hair looks awful. Anyways, we're going to continue with the Calcified series. And, we had a couple of questions from a couple of viewers. I'm grateful for all your comments. It's from Lucas, and we were talking about please post a video on negotiation with the 6-8-10. And Yasmin as well asked about the 6-8-10 technique. And the 6-8-10 was really taught to me by my buddy Les a number of years ago, and it's really got to do with using hand files. It's pretty simple. And let's just walk through a couple of cases using the 6-8-10. And it's helpful in calcified cases, but it's also helpful in just regular cases that the pulp chamber is open, but say, for example, MB2 is really constricted, or the middle mesial is really constricted, you can't get down there. Just using a simple like 6 file, 8 file, and 10 file in this really simple progression is going to help you. So this is a really interesting, so I've got an extracted tooth. It's mounted with a rubber dam. It's for a course I'm creating with a couple of friends of mine. And we're going to walk through this case. Now, forgive me, but I actually mounted, yes, I am human. I mounted the tooth backwards on with the rubber dam clamp. So this typically doesn't happen in the mouth, so I'm glad it doesn't happen there. This is actually the distal, and as I was prepping the tooth, I was thinking, man, that looks like the distal. So I need to spin this around, just so you know, and my axis would probably be a little more in the middle. So it was a really great, I had some great footage. I'm like, I'll just mention it to them because I think they know I'm human. So this is a really calcified tooth, and I didn't take an x-ray before I took it because I was like, before I did this, I was like, it should be okay. And of course, it's one of those times where I should have taken a radiograph. So you can see we're getting into sclerotic pulp tissue, and here we are into our calcified dentin or dentinal pulp tissue. And what I'm doing is there's a bunch of stones and whatnot. I'm going to flick those out. And just to speed this up, what we're going to do is I'm going to use my Muntz burr. This is a long shank 1 millimeter burr, and I'm just going to get rid of this, remove any of that pulp tissue. And I'm looking for, you see those white dots? So that is like in our first calcified video series, we're looking for white dots. I'm also measuring, so I know that the height of the pulp chamber is 6 millimeters high from the roof of the pulp chamber to this mesiobuccal, mesiobuccal cusp here. But this tooth is worn down, so we've probably lost a millimeter. But we're into the chamber, and this, now we know that, I thought this was the mesial buccal, but it really wasn't. It actually is one of the part of the distal. So you can see this is a distal. We've got debris, white debris into one of our orifices. And then what I've done now is we're looking at kind of the mesial here. So this is now the mesial. The rubber dam clamp will move. So I'm getting into what I think, you see the angulation here. Now I think this is the MB mesiobuccal cusp, mesiobuccal orifice. And this is where the 6-8-10 really comes in helpful. We've got a tiny, so this is all calcified pulp tissue. I actually have a stick with my Explorer, so then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take my 6 file. This is what I do normally. I'll put apical pressure with my Explorer. We've sped up a bunch here, and we place apical pressure, and I'm like, oh, okay, boom, we're in. So then I'll take a 6 file. You see how it just flutters there? So it tells me that I'm actually in something. It's like, oh, you're sticking into something. And because of the angulation, I'm like, I think, is this, it's 50-50. Is this the mesiobuccal or is it the mesiolingual? So I'm like, just because of the angulation of the file at this moment, I'm like, oh, maybe it's the MB. So part of this, what we're going to do is we're going to take a 6 file, we're going to get it to stick versus having a dead stop. So right there is a really good indicator that you're actually in something. When you can let it go and let it fling, we're good. So that'll be the 6 file. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an 8 file. I'm going to do 3 cutting cycles. So it'll be watch whine, pull, watch whine, pull, and watch whine, pull. Now you'll see it much more clearly when you take an 8 file. So I'm going to watch whine a few times and then pull. I'm going to change the tooth angulation so you'll see it from the side. So I'm going to watch whine, pull. And I'm going to actually, that's a really interesting thing. You can either use EDTA. I'm just using hypo. EDTA you can use. Some people do that for calcium chelator, and it's actually pretty slippery too. So the next, so part of this, so we'll do 3 cutting cycles with the 6, then I'll do a few, 3 cutting cycles with the 8. What does cutting cycles mean? It means watch line, pull, watch line, pull, watch line, pull. So there, each cutting cycle is a watch line, pull. So I'll pull it out, and then I'm going to go with a 10 file. And this slowly, what it does is it just makes space for your next file. So the next is going to be a 10. And you guessed it, it'll be watch line, pull, watch line, pull, watch line, pull. And that's essentially it. Now look at how far we've gone in just a short period of time in terms of looking at the cutting flutes. I always use the cutting flutes as sort of an indicator, because this to the tip, from the tip to this point is 16 millimeters average on most files. On these files, this is at 18, 19, 20, 22. You don't have to memorize those. But the 16 millimeter flutes is a really helpful indicator. So watch line, pull, watch line, pull. And right around here, I'm going to start taking my apex locator. If it was in real life, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, am I close? Probably not, but it just depends on the tooth. And what I'm doing here, now when I pull it out, I'm looking for 2 things. Is this all crinkled and bent like a pig's tail? And it's not, so it looks like we're engaging something. And then I look like, where is it engaging? So it looks like we're engaging middle of the file. Just gives me an idea of what's going on. So then I'll go with my 8 file, same thing. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of cutting. And when do I stop? Well, I stop when I get a nice glide path. So I'm going to watch line, pull, watch line, pull. This is an 8 file, but it's called a C file. It's a little more stiff. In my hands, it doesn't make a difference what I'm using. Sometimes it does. But in this situation here, everything's moving pretty slowly. So there's a 6, 8, and now we're going with a 10. Watch line, pull. So you can see now we're making it to 18, 19, 20. Most teeth are 19 to 21 millimeters, so we're in the ballpark. And again, this is where we're cutting, not a lot of cutting down to below. So it's good. We're on the path to getting a working length and developing our glide path. So we place our 10 file into our, we've got our 10 file, I pulled it out, but you can put it back in or leave it in and then take our apex locator. And what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for 1 red bar on the apex. So that's it. And then what I'll do is I'll subtract 0.5 or 1 millimeter. So what I'm going to do now is so now you can see that the tooth is oriented. I've changed the orientation. The rubber dam clamp is still the wrong way. It's quite funny. But what I'm doing actually is I'm troughing. So I'm using a really small mud spur. You can still see my hand over there. Let's move that so you can't. So I'm troughing because I think, and this is another tip that I've learned a long time ago, that if the first canal you find in a mandibular molar, it's typically going to be your mesiolingual. Let me say that again. The first canal you typically find is going to be your mesiolingual in a mandibular molar. And the reason why is because the angulation of the tooth in the mandible is lingualized, and it just seems to be always just that way. And again, this isn't even in a mandible, it's in a plastic cup, and that was the first canal that I found. So I didn't even abide by my own rules. So what I was doing is I was just troughing lightly just to see if I could find the mesial buccal, but I removed a little bit of tooth structure here, calcified tooth structure. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to check to see if it's a mesial buccal. And sure enough, it was. This is the mesiolingual, and now I'm going to trough underneath here to find the mesial buccal. And of course, just because it's an extracted tooth, I'm trying my ninja access. I forgot to say that right from the front. I ninja accessed backwards on the tooth. It's kind of embarrassing, but that's okay. Okay, so I don't know why it just stopped. There we go. So immediately, like within 5 seconds of troughing towards the mesial buccal, I found the mesial buccal canal, and you'll see it somewhere there. So there, the Endo Explorer sticks, and we're good. So I'm going to do the same thing. Well, after we irrigate a bit, there's some pulp stones in there. Excuse me. So we'll get rid of the pulp stone. Oh, there's a pulp stone right there. Or it's a bubble. Pulp stones. And then we're going to do a 6, 8, 10. I don't know if I needed to. So there's our orifice right there. So that's the other tip. The first canal you're typically going to find in a mandibular molar is the mesiolingual. Get that out of the way. So we're going to watch line a bit. And then we're going to do our 6, 8, 10. So this, what I do sometimes, I'll go 10, 8, 6. And then I'll go work my way back. So there we go. We're going to do the same exact thing. And it doesn't, it takes patience. You need, the real key to this technique is you need the pull. You need to have something to bite. If you're not biting on anything, you're just wasting your time. So then you need to place a little bend or whatnot. Because you can take a 6 file and watch line it all you want, but if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. So what I did here is I just jump right back to the 10 file because the 6 file was pretty loose, pretty loosey-goosey. I'll take my working length. Same thing, we'll go to 1 red bar, and then that is about it. So then we develop our glide path, doing some smoothies, and we can talk about that at another time. And then that's it. So actually in this case, what I did do is I wanted to do a ninja access, and then I don't finish this case, but what I did do is I used V-taper. So they're from SS White, and they're skinny little files, and they're now VC taper or DC taper or something like that. But these are V-taper, the original versions, and they minimize the maximum cutting flute diameter. They are really amazing. They're super flexible, and I love it. And I love this. I love this 8-teeth handpiece because I can reciprocate it whichever way I need to reciprocate it. So then I check my final working length just before we do our final shaping. This is the 3006 or something like that. I can't remember. I'd have to check. I've used them only a couple times, and actually I love them for these minimal cases. Look at the bend on that. And I wanted to try them because I wanted to minimize, because it's already, it's a calcified block with Wave on Gold. I blow, it's huge. The maximum flute diameter is actually quite significant. Okay, so there's that case, and if you're, you can kind of say goodbye if you want. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me, but if you're willing to continue with the 6, 8, 10 file technique, here's another molar, and this is more of a 7, I think an upper 7, and you can see here's MB1. It was calcified. You'll be able to see what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to clean and shape the MB2, and then I'll, at the end of the video, up around here, actually is where the access is. And you'll see kind of the instruments that we use. So this is the MB1, this is the MB2, but what I wanted to do was, MB2 typically comes out at a 45-degree angle, so what I wanted to do was trough away this dent and shelf and see if I can get more of a straight line access. So let's go ahead and do that with our gates glit, and holy smoke. We're going to do that with our Munspur. Now I did find Comet. They have these things called endo tracers. The link will be in the description box below. So they're about half the price, and they're from Comet. You can get them in the States and in Germany. Thank you so much to a viewer, subscriber. His name was Philippe, and he said he got them in Germany. So thanks so much for pointing that out. So what you're seeing again, it's the same theme as we're seeing. Let me slow that down. You're seeing. I'll go in reverse. We'll put all that dentin back. You can see that white line developing, and what that is really just dentin debris getting caught into that orifice. It's such a useful little technique. So I'm also pushing more to the mesial. Now I'm not trying not to gouge into the furcation. So what we're going to do is we're going to rinse that out, or just use my Explorer to rinse it out. Now I'm trying not to rinse a lot of stuff because the white debris actually helps to reflect the light and makes it easier for you to see, or the camera to pick it up. So here's that white line. So what that tells me is like, oh, right, sweet. I've removed all that dent and shelf, and now I can get into that MB2 much easier with my, what do we got here? We've got a 10 file or an 8 file. We're going to watch line that down. And we've got just doing a simple watch line pull, watch line pull, watch line pull. And then we're going to do our 6, 8, 10 progression. So it's going to be the same thing. Watch line, let's slow that down. So watch line, pull. And then we did a few, and then we'll go jump up to our, please don't be a 10. Oh, I did a 10. Okay, sorry guys. We're going to jump to a 10 file, but normally it depends on how loose that canal is. And let's see if we're making any progress. Watch line, pull, watch line, pull. Hopefully you don't hear my voice when you're doing this in real life. Watch line, pull. So I'm assuming I'm going to do this back to a number 6, 8, and then a 10. So watch line, pull. And everything just goes dead. I put it down and somebody came in to talk. And I pick it back up and off we go. We'll take our apex locator test. I got nothing. Watch line, pull. So what you saw me do there actually is just lefty-loosey, just like unscrewing a wood screw. So you can't screw in files, but you can unscrew them out, just like the balance force technique. So I'm literally just going to unscrew to get it to one red bar. You can see I'm just unscrewing it there. Boom. I'll slide my stopper down, recheck, and we're good. Check for some debris on my flutes. Nothing. And then we're going to go to an 8 file. So we are going back to the 8, 6, 8, 10, 6, so 6, 8, 10, watch line, pull, watch line, pull, get to length. And these two canals typically join, not typically, in this case they join. So you saw me back it out. We're going to do some smoothies, double check. And then we're going to take our waveform gold, the primary in this case, checking for debris, and we're going to open up that MB2 canal and the MB1. And again, I love the 8-teeth handpiece because I can do almost any type of reciprocation pattern I need, and I can use it for any files. This is actually the E-Connect S that I love using. I have both the E-Extreme and the E-Connect S, both incredible handpieces. So we're just getting down to our working length. You can see what I do there is I'm just looking for debris. So I'm getting, if I'm getting great debris. If there's no debris here and there's debris all up here, it can mean two things. You've cleaned and shaped the apical third and you're good, or you've taken that file long and now you're cleaning either sinus, or in this case it's alginate in the cup, or in a mandibular tooth you're trying to clean and shape bone. I say that not facetiously because I've been there and done that. So we're going to check our working length. And then we're going to clean and shape the rest of the tooth. Down to our palate. Let's speed this up. All right, so what I'm doing here is typically don't do that, but because I'm trying to get some really good footage, what I do is I place a little bit of sealer, and what that does is it reflects if the white reflects into the video camera, so you can actually see. That's the beauty of doing this on extracted teeth. So here's our MB2. Let's see what we got here. All right, so there's MB2, there's MB1, and by the end of this video, they join, and then that's it. So using the 6-8-10 rule, it was really helpful to get down to that MB2 and clean and shape it, get our glide path, and we're good. So again, thank you so much for joining me. If you want, you can watch the access now, but if you sign off, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and we'll catch you next time. So for those who really are hardcore and you're sticking around to the end of this video, hopefully you're not falling asleep, what we're going to do is we're going to access into this tooth. And what I'm doing there is you can see this length from the tip of my burr to here is 6 millimeters. So on maxillary molars, Deutsche Musikant found that on average it's 6 millimeters. So I'm using that as my quantitative measurement to get into my tooth. And you can see there I've cracked into the roof. The next stage what I'm going to do is I'll take my endo Z-burr. I'm going to flatten the cusp. There's not much to do here, but it's just a reminder to do it. And then I'm going to open up my pulp chamber a little bit. But this tooth is fairly calcified, and without using water on this burr, it starts to burn. And as these burrs are getting old because they're training burrs, so they start to burn all the time. So what I'm going to do here is you're going to see the difference. It's a bit calcified in this case. So let's zoom in right there. So this is actually a beautiful image because it shows, there's our mesial buccal 1 that you've seen before. This is a pulp stone. This is a pulpal wall. And here's this is just a roof or whatnot. So what we need to do is we need to open this up, and this is going to turn out to be a huge boulder we're going to cut out of there using our Ultramint Pro from from A-Teeth. So this actually is a burr I've just started trying out. This is SS White again, and it's got to do with the David Clark and John Cademy burrs. It's really neat because I'm going to try to use it to trough out that stone. It's not really intended for this, but I wanted to give it a shot, and I'm actually going to buy a few more and see how they rock. Because I really like them because I'm really used to Muntz burrs, but I wanted to try these in terms of troughing out different canals. So what you can see here is I'm actually cleaning and I'm actually polishing that stone with this. I really need to get out my ultrasonic in a second. So they did a really nice job of kind of opening up a little bit here along the side. We've got where kind of our mesiobuccal canal is. But this is going to take forever. We could open this up with burrs. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to crack out the good old ultrasonic and break down, destroy that stone. So here we go. Let me get this out of the way. So what I'm using here is just sort of medium power with a rounded tip. And we're just going to remove, and what the ultrasonic energy does is it not only does it remove dentin, but it also vibrates the heck out of that stone. And I'm not using water. Normally, I mean, you don't have to. You got to be careful of heat generation. I'm not using water so I can get some decent footage, even though I'm fast forwarding it all. And it's going to burn because I'm not using water. So you can if you don't have water control, you can get your dental assistant to blow water in here, but it makes it difficult to see. So as you can see, the beauty of an ultrasonic handpiece is that I can see there's no handpiece in the way. I can see right down. Beauty of ultrasonics. It's super slow if you're trying to cut things, so try not to use it to cut. Try to do your prep with an ultrasonic, it'll take you forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the water and see if we can blow out some of this stuff here, some of these boulders. There we go there. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, just practice, everything is practice in life. I'm trying to practice these ninja accents, not so much ninja, but more conservative. Hasn't been shown in the literature. I think it depends on what in vitro. There we go. See that guy coming out? In vitro article you're going to read. Come on, friend. But what it does is it gives me something to really set the bar. All right, so we got that out of there. There's one, I think. Is there another one? Don't think so. I think that's it. There's just the one. Okay, so anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that was really helpful. I know it went forever, this video here, but thank you so much for joining at the end. Don't forget to subscribe, like. Hopefully that was a 6, 8, 10, and hopefully it helps. And let me know in the comments. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers, Ash. Oh, I forgot to end it.